Good morning. And welcome to this virtual and in-person service of the Idaho Falls Unitarian Universalist Church on this 24th day of September 2023. We welcome you. We know that you come here for different reasons, to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions. If you are watching online, please sign into the chat box so that we may know who's attending, and it will enable you to send in your joys and concerns. I'm Ron Goen, and I'll be assisting Reverend Kevin Carson in the service this morning. And Jessica is at the piano, and Vic Allen is back there tending to our technical services. For those watching online, donations can be made online on the website. Just click on the Give button in the upper right-hand corner of the website, or they can be mailed into UUCIF, Post Office Box 50376, Idaho Falls 83405. And please write any joys or concerns on a slip of paper back in the back of the room, and we will read them a little bit later. For those watching online, write them in the chat box and indicate if it's a joy or concern. At this time, will we have somebody giving? Yes.
Good morning. Hey. Everybody knows why I'm here, right? I'm the happy face of UUCIF. And because I am, I want to share with you why I believe this congregation is the most important congregation you can choose to be a member of and support, or a friend of and support. Number one, when I go to church, it is not absolutely assumed by everyone here that I know all the right words or will say all the same answers as you about any topic, spiritual, religious, or otherwise. And you don't care. Do you know how rare that is? Obviously you don't, if it hasn't really struck you for a while. I have, and I have family members that only think a certain way, only do as they're told. Lovely people, I love most of them, but some of them do not love me simply because I discovered I have my own mind. And it is really cool to have your own mind. And I am by no means the authority on anything, but I can be inquisitive here, and I don't get laughed at very hard for some of my questions. And I want you to know how rare and valuable and loving that is. I also know if I don't feel so well, or if something is going on in my life, sooner or later, one of my buddies will get the vibe that, hey, I haven't seen Cindy for a while, and she didn't tell me she was going down to the grandkids. What's going on? And sure enough, I might be laying in bed saying, my back went out and my shot's not till tomorrow. Why? Would you like to bring a milkshake? and sometimes one comes. And all the little things and all the big things, the way we can take a child upstairs in for our time for all ages after the story and go upstairs, and your child will not be getting a bunch of dogma. Your child will be learning about the world as a place of love and enjoyment and fulfillment, and a place that we should do good to others and honor and respect and love our Mother Earth. That's valuable, especially in today's times. And we teach our children that there are many sources of good knowledge that we can draw from, and that science is real. I have just come back from a vacation where the biggest buildings in a lot of the little towns are the, well, for lack of a better word for it, Jesus theaters. And they're happy there. I've got a friend who loves going. I have another friend who's a Baptist minister. But that's just not my cup of tea. Never has been. And I don't think I want that to be my only option in town. And so I'll hope that you'll join me in supporting or continuing to support our universalist faith, and that we can continue to walk proud. Thank you.
Thank you. I skipped over announcements here this morning, so let's see. Little closer. All right. Is that better? All right. All right. I'll try to do that a little better. I needed to remind everyone that every second Sunday we plan to have potluck lunch, and that will be October 9th for the next one. The women's group meets on Friday, the first Friday of the month, which will be October 6th. The men's group meet on the second Friday of the month, which will be October 13th. And if you're interested in joining a book club, please talk to Reverend Kevin. Are there any other announcements that need to be made? If not, at this time we will prepare ourselves for worship. I will ring the peace bowl 3 times. Let's calm our hearts, our minds, our breathing. Breathe deeply in and out, listening to your breath as I ring the peace bowl 3 times. Our church's covenant helps us remember why we are a part of this faith and why we give our time and our resources to this congregation. If you so choose, please recite along with me the covenant that this congregation has chosen to live by. Love is the spirit of this community, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. At this time, we will light the chalice. The chalice lighting is accompanied by words from Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us.
Good morning. Our call to worship this morning comes from the Reverend Max A. Coots. When love is felt or fear is known, when holidays and holy days and such times come, when anniversaries arrive by calendar or consciousness, when seasons come as seasons do, old and known, but somehow new, when lives are born or people die, when something sacred is sensed in soil or sky, mark the time. Respond with thought or prayer or smile or grief. Let nothing living slip between the fingers of your mind, for all of these are holy things we will not, cannot find again. I invite you to join us in singing our opening hymn, number 209, You May Rise in Body or Spirit.
Good morning. Today's Time for All Ages is lifted from Kindle, so I won't have any pictures to show today. You'll have to use your powerful imaginations. So the title of this short book is Acceptance is My Superpower, and it was written by Alicia Ortego. Hi, my name is Lisa, and I am 7 years old. I'm really rather quiet and not very bold. My hobbies include singing. I love to sing out loud, but only in my bedroom, never in a crowd. Usually I'm cheerful and always feeling glad, but yesterday Lucas made me very sad. He's my friend from school, and we usually get along, but yesterday was different, and it all went horribly wrong. Through every single playtime and all through my classes, he teased me and made me cry because I wear glasses. I want to be like others, I cried to Mom that night. She held me in her arms and squeezed me very tight. I know you do, my little love, but let me try and explain. If everyone were the same in the world, it really would be plain. Height, skin, hair color, or even glasses on our face. We all have differences, making the world an interesting place. I'd never even thought of it that way. What Mom said was true, and then Dad came in with fruit and showed me something too. Here, I have a banana and an apple, red and ripe. I know you love your fruit, but which is your favorite type? Well, neither, I said to Dad. I love them both the same. Even though they're different, Dad said. I understood the game. We all have our differences, Mom said. It's what makes us so unique, from the way we look and think to the languages we speak. Why, even Dad is different from us, with no hair on his head. But instead of loving him less, I love him more instead. And what about your Uncle Jimmy, the one with the curly hair? He's also different because of his wheelchair. That's right, my dad said. He can't walk at all, but that didn't stop him from winning gold in wheelchair basketball. I then started thinking about all the people I knew. The thing we have in common is we're all different, too. My grandma talks through sign language with the help of her hands, but she never lets her deafness ruin any of her plans. My friend Betty, who's adopted, and of all my friends, she's the best. She says, I'm glad my family chose me. I feel so very blessed. Now, to accept each other's differences, Dad said, is called diversity. And it means we must treat everyone with respect and courtesy. Our differences are many, making the world a better place. I am now proud of the glasses that sit on my little face. With them, I know I see better and have a different view. They help me read my music, which makes me sing better too. Diversity is acceptance of all our different ways. If everyone understood that, we'd all have better days. Some people like to swim, and others love to run. Some people love the winter, and others enjoy the sun. Our differences are many, from our clothes down to our looks, from the subjects we love at school, and even our favorite books. Now I have this knowledge, it wouldn't be very fair to keep it to myself and with my friends not share. So the next day, when Lucas saw me, he came up to me and said, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Can we be friends instead? I appreciated his apology. So to Lucas, I did say, you really hurt my feelings when you teased me yesterday. But I'm proud to wear my glasses. They're a part of me. And it's important that you know that they are there to help me see. I'm really very sorry, he said. I didn't mean to make you sad. Thank you for talking to me. Your friendship makes me glad. So down we sat at playtime, and I told him all of my news of diversity and acceptance and the behavior we could choose. Just like all the petals on these different flowers, diversity is beautiful and gives us superpowers. Please join me and Lucas. Spread the word to all you know. Acceptance is our superpower, and together we will grow. I see one child in the congregation. Is there another? Ariel, would you like to come up with us this morning? All right, we're going to sing out our kid. Let's go.
We'll now read the Light a Candle for Joys and Concerns. I have one from Cindy. Our granddaughter just turned 4 months old. That's a good one. And let's light, or are there any joys? None in the chat box. Let's light one more candle for in memory of John Tanner, whose life we celebrated yesterday, and one additional candle for those joys and concerns that we hold within our hearts.
Our reading this morning comes from the Reverend Gretchen Haley, who's the senior minister of Foothills Unitarian Church in Fort Collins, Colorado. Covenant is one of those words that can initially sound kind of stuffy, academic, and out of date. But when you unpack its meaning and its practices, covenant holds a whole vision for how to live in this complicated, beautiful, and broken world. It is a vision that says we are most human when we bind ourselves in relationship. But not just any relationship. Relationships of trust, mutual accountability, and continual return. This is not what our culture teaches us. Our culture teaches us that what it means to be human is to be an individual, self-defined, self-determined, even separate. But our UU covenantal theology affirms that being human comes down to the commitments we make to and with each other, the relationships we keep. We become human through our promises to and with each other. Let me tell you right now that sometime in the next year, maybe in the next few minutes, the people you most believe in and care about are going to disappoint you. Your church is going to disappoint you. This world is surely going to disappoint you, like all the time. We are walking wounded and weary from the way the world can be and does break our hearts. And what our faith asks of us, what our faith imagines for us, is that somehow, right at that moment when our hearts break, we will find our way to see through that heartbreak. We will stay put, not close off, not run away, not hurt back, but keep on being in relationship, doing what we can to repair the world and each other. Keep on opening our hearts with greater love. And right then, our covenantal faith says, we will feel not only most human, but also most whole and most at home. An offering to support the mission of this church will now be given and gratefully received. love ragtime music and grew up listening to a lot of Scott Joplin, and I've always found it just very happy. It just makes you feel good to listen to. Well, almost every Sunday morning, as we did a few minutes ago, we recite in unison our covenant statement chosen by this congregation during worship service. I'm not sure how many years ago this particular covenant statement was chosen, but it is a historical covenant written by the Reverend James Vila Blake and first adopted by the Unitarian Church of Evanston, Illinois in 1894. It is actually in the back of your hymnals as reading number 473, and it is a popular covenant statement adopted by many UU congregations across the country. It is a powerful, simple statement worth hearing again. Love is the spirit of this community, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I really like this covenant statement because it sums up nicely the reason this church exists in Idaho Falls, the reason we gather here as a community each week, and the reason we do things together at other times and in the larger community. So let's unpack this a little more. The first line of the statement is really a sort of preamble with two important components. It begins, love is the spirit of this community. What does it mean to say that love is the spirit of this community? The first thing that jumps out to me is that our faith community is not based on certain beliefs that we must all avow or sacraments that initiate us into the community, but rather it is love that is central to what binds this community together. Love for each other and love for the world. It is the same sentiment expressed in the recent proposed changes in the bylaws of our denomination, which say, love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Having said that, I still think it needs more definition because love is a somewhat ambiguous word in the English language and can refer to anything from the adoration of a parent for their child, or romantic love between couples, or having particular fondness for some food, art, or music. It is less ambiguous in some other languages. In Greek, for example, there are 3 words for love that have very different meanings. There is eros, which refers to romantic or erotic love, and there's philos, which refers to brotherly or sisterly love, the kind of love we feel for those whom we care deeply about. And then there is agape, which is usually translated as selfless or unconditional love. Agape is love freely given to another without cause or thought of personal benefit, and without any expectation of love in return. It is this unconditional form of love, agape, which is the word used in the Christian scriptures in their original Greek. For example, in the Gospel of Matthew, when Jesus says, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you," he is calling for us to love our enemies unconditionally because of their inherent worth and dignity as human beings. When we say love is the spirit of this community, we are affirming that a combination of philos and agape exist in our congregation, a spirit of fraternal love that develops among us as we really get to know one another, and a spirit of selfless love that we pour out into the world in the hope of creating a more just and kind community for all. The second half of the preamble says, "And service its law." The emphasis on service tells you that our faith community is not content with holding certain beliefs or even religious practices that we do to affirm our faith. Service both within and outside of the congregation are fundamental to what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. Within our congregations, we recognize that we need each other, both as loving, supporting companions on the spiritual journey, and as emotional and practical companions in our times of need. Celebrating our joys and sharing our grief is better in community. And sometimes we may just need a ride or a meal or someone to talk to when the inevitable burdens of life confront us. All of this is the internal service we promise to provide. Outside of these walls, there is a hurting world with countless opportunities for us to serve. From little gestures of kindness to fighting for justice, equality, human dignity, and a better planet for all forms of life, principles and values we affirm as Unitarian Universalists. Our faith does not rest on tradition and beliefs, but is truly a movement. We are called to action, often as allies of marginalized groups who need our support. We serve the world with the audacious, countercultural belief that we have the power to make a difference, to live the beloved community into existence. Our covenant statement then goes on to say, this is our great covenant. In other words, this is the promise we make to one another about how we will be together in this community. First, we commit to dwell together in peace, a promise that we will avoid conflict whenever possible and resolve it through mutual understanding when it arises. We will be respectful and accepting of different opinions and beliefs. Next, we promise to seek the truth in love. Again, we are all seekers here who do not pretend that only the truths we have found for ourselves are valid. This is a shared spiritual journey of mutual support and exploration. There is no catechism to learn to become a Unitarian Universalist. And finally, we reiterate our promise to help one another in whatever form that takes. In a world obsessed with individualism and consumerism, these are powerful words. There is so much packed into this simple statement of the promises we make to each other in our special community. When I accepted the call to be your minister, I entered into this covenant with you. My role is a bit different, providing spiritual leadership and pastoral care, and as a representative of this church in the greater community at times. But I see my main role as being a facilitator for helping all of us live by this covenant statement. As Unitarian Universalists, we are not so much a top-down organization in our sense of clergy versus laity as some other traditions are. So we take seriously this mutual journey of learning from each other and supporting each other in a loving community. This is a very special community indeed. And we are a community that is important in Idaho Falls and the surrounding region. We are a voice of liberal religion in a very conservative part of America. We do not frown on diversity, but celebrate it. We do not insist on a singular set of beliefs you must hold to worship among us, or a creed you must profess. But instead, we encourage spiritual exploration, no matter where it leads you. We do not presume to say you are wrong, even if our own journey has taken us on a very different path. We are a refuge for those who no longer share the more rigid beliefs of their past, or who no longer feel welcome in their faith because of who they are, or just feel threatened by what is going on in America around us and seek to be among people who will make them feel more welcome and safe. We believe that everyone has value and dignity and deserves the love at the heart of our faith. This is a very special community that is important to support for many reasons. not just so we have a place to worship on Sunday mornings. When I'm talking to people who express an interest in our church, they frequently say something like, I grew up in a so-and-so church and I just didn't like what I was hearing anymore. My usual response begins with something like, well, we're not that kind of church. Maybe that should be our motto. We're not that kind of church. But what kind of church are we? I think I've already answered that question for the most part, but I think I should also speak about some of the other important things we do here as a community. Sunday services are important for each of us to set aside a time for spiritual reflection and invite the sacred into our ordinary lives. But the other things we do here are important to the culture of this spiritual community as well. Whether it is our potluck dinners, picnics, women's groups, men's groups, book group, or classes, there are many opportunities throughout the year to experience community and satisfy our human need to be together with our fellow beings. This is also a place for our children to learn about spirituality, the values we share, and the many varieties of religious expressions in the world. And there are other sacred occasions, such as weddings or memorial services, as we celebrated for John Tanner yesterday, that help us mark life's milestones and share the joys and pain in our lives. All of this is part of being a covenantal community. And this is not a social club or civic organization, though such groups are also important for a vital community. This is a unique faith community bound by our promise to each other and self-supported. It is a special kind of community that is important and of great value. Please remember this during our pledge drive and give generously to help sustain us. And also think about the ways you might become more involved in volunteer work. We are always looking for people to help with worship or the care team or about anything we do, like our booth at the Pride events. If you have an interest, just reach out to me and I promise I can connect you with an opportunity. Of course, our faith community not only has value, but has costs as well. Cost to maintain the building and support professional ministry and staff, and cost to support our social justice efforts and the work of the larger Unitarian Universalist Association. And if we had more money, we could do even more in Idaho Falls and the surrounding region. We could make our presence known even better to those who would find us a welcoming and refreshingly different spiritual home. Your board is very prudent and fiscally responsible with the money the church receives, and sometimes they have to make tough decisions. So please be generous. I believe strongly that Unitarian Universalism is a faith that aligns well with modern spiritual seekers who don't want that kind of church. We have always been an important voice in America's religious landscape, and we continue to evolve and remain so. It is unfortunate that we have so few congregations compared to some denominations, especially out here in the West. But we are a small but mighty faith movement that is consistently represented in social justice movements in far greater numbers than would be expected. We can and are making a difference in the world. This is a very special community indeed. In closing, I invite you to repeat our covenant with me once again and remember what makes this covenantal community such an important spiritual home. Love is the spirit of this community and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you now to join in singing our closing hymn, number 318, We Would Be One. Our closing words come from Vincent B. Silliman, titled, Let Religion Be to Us Life and Joy. Let religion be to us life and joy. Let it be a voice of renewing challenge to the best we have and may be. Let it be a call to generous action. Let religion be to us a dissatisfaction with the things that are, which bids us serve more eagerly the true and the right. Let it be the sorrow that opens for us the way of sympathy, understanding, and service to suffering humanity. Let religion be to us the wonder and lure of that which is only partly known and understood. An eye that glories in nature's majesty and beauty, and a heart that rejoices in deeds of kindness and courage. Let religion be to us security and serenity, because of its truth and beauty, and because of the enduring worth and power of the loyalties which it engenders. Let it be to us hope and purpose, and a discovering of opportunities to express our best through daily tasks. Religion uniting us with all that is admirable in human beings everywhere. Holding before our eyes a prospect of the better life for humankind, which each may help to make actual.
Please join with me in reading the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.